Hello and welcome to the Turn 4 podcast. I am your host, Dan Maldonado. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Tim Reiner. Hey, Timmy.
Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing dandy.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I'm dandy today.
Yeah. Yes, you are dandy.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, aren't you dandy? Are you ready to discuss, Tim, motorsports? We got some news and notes in motorsports, primarily Formula One and IMSA, but are you ready to talk about Long Beach? Preview? Ooh, Timmy's got the giggles today. He is, ladies and gentlemen, while he's trying to compose himself. So before we get into Long Beach, let's talk F1 and IMSA. So F1, Australia, first time back to Australia in a couple of years due to COVID. Not as exciting as the first two races, in my opinion. Ferrari continues to look strong in all key areas. A bit of porpoising, which I don't think we saw in some of the other races, but that didn't seem to hinder the dominance of Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz, on the other hand, is still coming to grips with this year's Ferrari. I expected him to be closer to Leclerc's performance, but that has just not been the case. Tim, did you get a chance to watch the race?
Yeah, we watched most of it here. It was.
Hold on. Did you watch it live? Or did you watch it the next morning?
I
Biscuit
watched
were gonna
it.
stay up.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute. Something was going on here, but I watched it. We did not watch it live. We did not stay up and watch it in the middle of the night. We watched it in the morning. I think our start time was 8 a.m. the same as yours.
Yeah. We watched about the same time. So it was a good race. It wasn't, as good as I think the first two, but
I thought it was kind of stale. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I would give you that.
Yeah.
Red Bull have reliability issues. There's no way to qualify that. There's no way to spin that. They have reliability issues, no doubt about it. This is now 2 of 3 races with a DNF for Max. Not good at all. Certainly not ideal way to start your defense of wearing the number 1, which is what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. And I think it wasn't a fuel pickup issue like the first time. It's something different, right?
I don't know. It seemed like a fuel leak because he said he was smelling something. So, which is horrifying if you think about a fuel leak with how flammable gasoline is and how bad. There's no way to control that. So, Perez, on the other hand, seems to have a better handle on the Red Bull in qualifying. But at the end of the day, to finish first, one must first finish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Max didn't. Perez did manage to finish second place. Mercedes might be on track with a strong third and fourth. It could be that. It could be a little bit of missteps from the Red Bull, of course. But that was a pretty good finish for George Russell and Lewis Hamilton finishing third and fourth. Here's the deal. Ferrari are pulling away very early in this season with Charles Leclerc. Red Bull are leaving a very wide door open for Mercedes to get their act together. And let's face it, they will get their act together. Ferrari is well ahead, right? I didn't look at constructors championships because really what we're talking about is the prestige of winning the championship. Charles Leclerc leads with 71 points. Second, to my astonishment, is George Russell, 34 points behind. Third, Carlos Sainz, 38 points behind. Perez in fourth, 41 behind. Lewis Hamilton, 43 points behind. And Max in sixth place, 46 points behind.
Yeah, you can't have DNFs. Once you have DNFs and you're out of the top 10, you don't get any points. So that's huge on the championship fight.
Huge.
Yep.
So mid-pack looks very equal so far, I think. Alpine might be a little ahead there. They really look like they were going to be taking it to the Mercedes, but circumstances. But Alpine, McLaren had a really good race.
They did.
In Australia, and
I think they got their act together.
Yep. They've struggled. Aston, that just continues to be a struggle, and Haas was off the pace that we've seen the first 2 races. So that
was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, but that tightened everything up really.
Mm-hmm. No, it was a good race. Tons of fans, right? I think I heard that they had over 400,000 fans throughout the weekend, which is a huge amount. It's been 2 years since they've been to the track, so they made some modifications to a couple turns too, which I saw in the pre-race, if you want to call it that. But overall, it was a good race. I just a little more action would have been nice. There was a train going around there for a long time, and cars trying to get by each other. Everybody had DRS, and
Yep.
I don't know. I think they need to work a little bit on that, or maybe it's just a product of the track. I'm not sure, but and you'd like to see passes for the lead too, and that just didn't happen this round. And yeah, but overall, Ferrari looks super strong. When Red Bull can finish the race, they finished first with Max last week, so they've got a strong car too. They're just going to figure out the bugs and the gremlins that are hindering that car.
Right. What's interesting is the Honda engine last year was just bulletproof. It was powerful, was bulletproof. They made it through. They did very well. And I don't know if you can really point this to being a Honda issue, because for all intents and purposes, those engines are still built by Honda in Japan, right? They're maintained, they're kept, or whatever you want to call it for Red Bull powertrains. But for most intents and purposes, that's still the Honda engine. Call it what you may. I don't know why all of a sudden they're having some reliability issues. So whatever it is that they changed, they got to get back to what they did last year. Because to my knowledge, there's really been no major engine. The E10 and right, the fuel switch to the E10, but no major engine issues. It's all been aerodynamic and the issues with the car is what they changed this year. So kind of surprised by that, to be honest.
I am too, and I'm looking at racer.com, and there's a headline that says Verstappen says retirement's unacceptable.
They are.
You think so? Unacceptable? Yes. That's a pretty harsh word.
Nope. Totally agree.
100%. I think it's disappointing, and we're going to work on it rather than saying it's unacceptable. But
they have a car that seems to have a handle on the current regulations better than anybody, and I would include Ferrari in that. Okay. So to have an engine that was bulletproof last year, no reliability issues last year, and now all of a sudden you've got these issues this year, that is unacceptable.
Okay.
It is.
So
and
earlier,
you're defending a championship. Mercedes is on their heels. Ferrari's got it together. There's no doubt. In most of these cases, it really could have been a very spirited fight between Ferrari and Red Bull, and it's not been the case. It's not been the case.
Yeah.
As bad as Mercedes is, I'll let you get to that. As bad as Mercedes is, Mercedes has a guy second in the points with George Russell. And Lewis leading Max.
So let's hold on the whole Mercedes thing. I don't think they're as bad as everybody points them out to be. Yes, they're a little down on straightaway speed, horsepower, whatever you want to call it.
And their car is bucking like a Bronco. And I'm
not the only car that was bucking like a Bronco, which I was going to talk about with your other point of porpoising was the Ferrari was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was very evident in the video and in the TV stream that you could see what was going on with those cars. I don't know if that impacts handling. It sort of settles back down once you take it off top speed. So it's really not a cornering issue, I don't believe. I think it's just a straightaway and an annoyance to the driver when he's bouncing up and down.
Yep.
I'm sure there's some handling, but I don't think they're that far off Mercedes, and they have consistency. They're in the top three teams, right? They're the third placing team most every race. So it doesn't surprise me with, Red Bull having their issues that George Russell is there in second place, and they're going to build upon that, and they're going to start chipping away, and they're going to come out strong in the next few races and for the duration of the season. So don't count them out at all.
Yep. And you're going to see Bonneville and Christian Horner and, Max Verstappen complaining and whining and everything else, but they let this go. The first three races of the season, they've not laid down anything that would suggest they're ready to defend this Max's championship and go for the Constructors Championship because they're letting it slip by.
They got a victory.
Yep. Yeah, but they're letting it slip by. They've got one out of right, and the other two they didn't finish. That's not how you defend a championship.
No, it's not.
Not how you win a Constructors Championship.
It's a roller coaster of a beginning of a season.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yep.
Come back stateside to IMSA. IMSA shared a card with IndyCar in Long Beach this past weekend. I like these IMSA IndyCar double headers, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, I really do. In fact, our own experience with this podcast suggests that, IMSA and IndyCar are terrific complements to each other.
Totally. Yep. And I think it's sort of the same fan base. They love both types of series, right? They love the open wheel series and they love the sports car. And to bring those together in Long Beach, they're going to do that in Detroit. Are they doing that in Mid-Ohio as well? I know they've done that in the past where they got separate weekends.
Yeah.
That's it's a win-win for both series, in my opinion.
I think anywhere that they can, I think they should, right?
Yep.
Any of these big festival street or road courses should be, right? Mid-Ohio, Road America,
Should do them all.
Detroit, yeah. Nashville, although Nashville is so narrow, I don't know, you could put a DPI out there. I watched the race. Did you watch it on USA?
I watched some of it, yeah.
Did you? I watched it. I really liked it. I really liked it. And I guess my headline there is Sebastian Bourdais has still got it. Starting in qualifying, right? He laid down a qualifying lap, which was a new track record, qualifying at a 109.048. It's very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what oh, that's a lie. Let me back up. He qualified at a 109.74. Do you know what the slowest IndyCar qualifier did?
I don't.
Slowest IndyCar qualifier was a 109.048. So Sebastian would have started on the back row in the 01 Cadillac.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Probably would have finished 3 places up from the back row, I suspect.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah. Qualifying wasn't the only show that Bourdais put on. He led early, but then lost that lead after only a few laps, coming out of the hairpin after making an inside move on a GTP Porsche, GTD Pro.
I saw that portion. I was watching it at that time.
Yeah. Could have been marbles or could have been that awkward line. He pushed right into the wall coming out of that hairpin and watched everybody go right by. But you know what? It didn't matter, did it?
No, I guess it didn't, did it?
Nope, just went manic and just knifed his way right back through the field to regain that lead and eventually take victory with his teammate Van der Zandt. So amazing drive from Bourdais, the 40-year-old Sebastian Bourdais, who has left his IndyCar career behind. Just an amazing job there. Amazing job there.
Yeah, and I don't know, in hitting that wall coming out of the hairpin, I don't think the steering wheel turned any further than what it did. I think he ran out of the radius for the turn and just kind of bumped the wall. It was a little crunch there and backed it up and got going again. But by that time, as you mentioned, he was in 6th place out of the DPI cars, right? So the last place you can be in those cars, and they came and drove back through the field.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Did he drive back through the field himself?
Yes,
he did.
Yep. And was laying on the ground in a puddle of his own sweat, drinking a bottle of water, talking to his dad after he came out of the car because he was spent. I mean, he really he put it all out there. It was pretty good. It was good to watch, and it's fun to watch too because I appreciate Sebastian. I appreciate his career, which I think is the point to make in the earlier part of this. Right? Is I think IndyCar and IMSA go hand in hand so much because there's so much crossover with the drivers.
Yeah. And there was rumors that he was going to fill in for Jimmy Johnson if he couldn't go because of the hand issue.
Yeah.
Which
he probably would have been the most ready, right? And
absolutely. They probably had a seat made ready to go. Just move it over, right?
Yep. And the guy right there. So on to Long Beach.
On to Long Beach. Are you ready for Long Beach?
I am.
Wasn't that an entertaining event?
It was great.
It was so good.
It a lot. Yep.
When I looked at that race and I saw the first stint and it was fairly calm, not a whole lot going on, but once the pit stop started and the strategy played out, really it led to a great racing on the track. And Dixon, I think, was the first one to kind of fall into that pit stop strategy and do something different because he was back when he qualified. And it turned out well for him, but there were multiple leaders, and this was due to the pit crews, the drivers, as well as the team strategists. Like not a lot of passing on track for first place, actually not any, but through the pits, there was a lot. So it was good. And all that working together was awesome to see. So boy, oh boy, what a wonderful event it was.
Yep.
And I think this race actually settles the debate of what is the best racing series after Long Beach. And I saw that it was the most entertaining racing that I saw all weekend. And I didn't watch every race from start to finish, but I watched some of Martinsville, the paperclip with NASCAR, right? I saw some of that. And all they talked about was they got an upshift and they got a downshift. And how's that going to upset the car? And it was, to me, it was a parade, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. IMSA, I didn't see a whole lot of that, but I watched the Formula One, and that didn't seem to bring a ton of action. So I think that debate is over. Dan, what are your thoughts on best
Totally
series?
Totally agree. I've been saying it for a while, is anybody at any time could win an IndyCar race, and you just never know.
You don't. We do our picks, and we haven't been right yet.
Well, some of us righter than others.
Yeah, some of us closer than others. We'll call it closer rather than writer. I don't know if writer is the right word to use.
It's not. I don't care. I made it up.
All right, fine, whatever. Qualifying sessions on the street circuit, I watched some of that. They still seem to be a challenge, right? It seems like no one can get a clear lap, and they're trying to figure things out. Dan, do you think the series does this intentionally? Makes it kind of a cluster for qualifying to mix that field up so there is some excitement on track?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's intentional. And the only reason why I say I don't know it's intentional, because if it truly were intentional, I think that they would have a solution for fixing some of that. Right. So it's not so bad, but it
is bad. You got cars backing up, trying to get a clean run. If they get a clean run, by the time they get back to the start, to the timing line, they've got a backup of cars and they got to abort the lap. And we saw that in St. Pete where Grosjean hit the back of Takuma Sato. And then you saw some of this past weekend at Long Beach. And, I just wonder if there is a simple solution to this. It could be a couple of things, but can you just move the timing line to the start finish line where it belongs?
No.
Does that sort of help?
No. So I like where it is, because what happens is when you finish your lap, you can duck right into the pits and get out of people's way.
You can,
as opposed to having to get into, because if you had to go right to the start finish line, the traditional start finish line, then you got to lollygag around because you don't want to take any more energy out of the tires, because you need a race on those tires at some point, right? So you don't want, you can't take any more energy out of there. So now you're slow. Think Formula One qualifying. Now you're running slow. You got to stay out of people's way, and you got people coming down on you doing their hot laps. The sooner you can get these people off that track, I think the better it is. So I like that from that perspective.
Okay.
My thing is, break it. You're not up against a broadcast schedule necessarily, right? It's streaming.
Yeah, you're right.
So why not do another group, right? Instead of just two groups. There's a lot of cars in those two groups, especially now, 13, 14 cars.
There's a lot.
So do three groups. Why wouldn't you could easily do that, and you would open up the track a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Maybe not do three groups in every track, but this is under 2 miles in a tight street course on streets.
Yeah, I think it's a street course thing. I don't think you're going to find the same issues on a road course that you find on a street course.
Yeah, more width. You got a little bit more breathing room there with like a Road America.
Longer tracks, more distance for those cars to space out. So I think IndyCar needs to look at that for sure. I just thought maybe moving it to the start finish line would help, but maybe not, and adding a few minutes. 4 cautions on the day from contact, excuse me. But IndyCar kept the yellow flags to a minimum given the situations. There's only 14 total laps. They did a really good job. I was impressed.
Yes, they did. I agree.
So kudos to the safety car team, Jay Fry, and the race stewards, right? All of them attributed to having very few caution laps. And when the caution came out, it was caution. A few laps later, back to green. So that was good to see.
Even and then the end, when Sato was in the wall at the end, right, coming down to the last lap, they didn't throw that yellow flag right away. They were racing toward Sato.
They were letting them. Yes, that was a good call. They let them race down the front stretch to get another stab at getting a pass. And then once they were coming up to where Sato car was, they decided to throw the full course yellow, which was the right move. You have to throw it there for sure.
Yep.
And they didn't waste any time sweeping the track, which I think is fine. I think those days are gone, and I'm fine with that. There were some marbles out there, but you get off track, you got to learn how to get the marbles off of that. It looked pretty bad from some of the camera angles.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they didn't throw the yellow to do that, and that's a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was Grosjean's pass on Pelot down, Shoreline, and they were on board with Grosjean. You could hear the marbles hitting the car, right? As he was gunning down. You could hear all those marbles. There was a lot. I don't think I've ever seen it that bad in a long time.
It's been a while.
Maybe I don't know as far back as Goodyear Firestone, but I mean, I don't remember seeing, that many marbles on.
And I don't think it hurt the racing by any means. So
no,
why spend the time sweeping them up if it's not going to improve the racing and you're going to have more yellow time?
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you.
And the fans came out to support. So it was a great event for sure. And NBC's coverage was awesome.
Yep, it was.
It was a dandy.
It was a dandy.
It was a dandy. There you go.
Dandy. All right. So Long Beach review. Joseph Newgarden starting second, finished first, makes 2 in a row for Joseph, 3 in a row for Penske. Great race for Newgarden. Great race for Newgarden. He had taken Herta out with the pit stop strategy early. Had Herta not had his issue, I don't know that Herta would have been able to take it back to Joseph Newgarden. I think Joseph was that good.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And I don't think Joseph could have taken it to Pelot without the help of his team.
I agree there too.
Because all those first place position swaps were all done by the pit crews and the driver getting in and out of the pits real quick.
Yeah, I'm with you there. 4th place, Will Power, quiet and smart race again for Will. Took what the car was giving him, maximized points. He's now 4th in the championship primarily because of Pelot's finish here, right? So Pelot leapfrogged him in that. Scott McLaughlin, I think this is Scotty's, right? This is just kind of the Cinderella here that, his Cinderella start to the season. We finally found a crack in the slipper. He had an engine change Sunday morning. I don't know if you watched the warm-up or if he said it in the warm-up or if he said it going into the broadcast in the pre-race where he said we weren't sure that this engine was going to have the mileage. Did you hear him say that?
No, I missed that.
Makes me wonder about because we've been talking about Chevy since the first race. So, are these all new Chevy engines? Probably not. New enough? Probably. And that's what's getting them some of this drivability, some of this mileage that they've gained suddenly during the off season because they have taken it to Honda and they've been super, super strong.
I take it back. I did hear him say that in the pre-race. Yeah. Yes, I did hear him say that. And he said he wasn't sure what the fuel mileage would be on this new Chevy engine that they put inside the car.
Right.
And that would have been something they would have liked to have seen given, they had more time to put it in and actually get some laps under it. So to your point, that kind of makes me think Chevy's been doing a lot of work in the off season to get the fuel mileage where it needs to be and to get the drivability where it needs to be. And whatever components were on this new engine, they weren't sure where it was going to land.
Yeah. So somewhere in these notes, I'm going to say this again, but I want to say this now because you could see during this race that whether it was the Andretti's, right, either Herta or Grosjean or Pelot behind Newgarden, or any of the Penske's for that matter, they were better on braking into the braking zones, but those Chevys had so much torque and so much power out of all of those slow corners. There was no taking advantage of that. There was no taking advantage of this braking because they just didn't have the power off the corner like the Chevys had.
Yeah, I know. It was something to see. And I definitely saw that on the coverage of how quick they were and how they could get the power down to the ground and get out of the corner. So it's a difference from last year, right? Last year to this year is getting out of those corners and having that speed, and they've got it, and they've got the fuel mileage. So man, they've done their work.
Yeah.
And
look out.
I just realized Penske swept the first 3 races, the entire season so far. They've got all the victories.
Yep. Scott and Joseph.
Wow. Yep. That's really awesome, right?
Yes.
So think about it. You go from a 4-car team to a 3-car team. They talked to Will one day, must have been after one of the practices or qualifying. And hey, did that help? No, I actually saw it on NASCAR Today or something. He was interviewed, and it was on Peacock. If you have Peacock, go to Peacock and look for IndyCar stuff. And they've got a 10-minute interview with Will Power. And Will Power played down the fact that they went from a 4-car to a 3-car and say that has nothing to do with the turn of the team for this year, and not just his team, the whole Penske squad there. It said that even if they were at a 4-car, they'd still have the same results that they've had so far this year. So I was surprised to hear that. Did you see that interview?
No, but I agree with that.
You agree with that comment?
Yeah.
I thought he might have said, yeah, I think it helps. We brought, the teams together and the engineers together. And it's surprising to me that given all the changes that did happen at Penske, that they've been able to come out this strong and they've been able to win 3 in a row.
Yeah. I don't discount Penske for anything, any way whatsoever, in IndyCar especially. Okay.
But not even last year?
No, because let me get the point too. I'm putting a little bit more of this, like 60-40 maybe, Chevy. Because notable Chevy teams that have improved, and I'm not talking Arrow McLaren, right? Foyt.
Yep. They look good.
And
with Kyle. Yep.
And Renus VK with Ed Carpenter.
Okay.
So I think much of the improvement that we've seen there has maybe a little bit more to do, marginally more to do with Chevy than the team itself. But Penske's Penske, right? Preparation equals results. So that's, I think whether they're a 3-car team or a 4-car team, I think this is where we'd be.
Yeah, but you were a little gun shy on Newgarden and how he might do with the new engineer, but they've gelled immediately.
Yeah. A lot better than certainly I anticipated. You have Newgarden finishing 2nd in the championship. I got him finishing 9th.
Yeah, you put him, back a little ways, and your reasoning behind that was because of the new engineering and people shifting around, and you were kind of unsure. But that
I thought that was going to be unsettling for him.
Yeah, that's out the door now. They've dominated. And I know they got the last lap pass for the Texas victory, but
but it would have been a Penske anyway.
I know, it would have been.
Right? It would have been Scott McLaughlin. So either way, they had that covered.
Totally.
Yeah, they had that covered. And Will's lurking, right? Will's lurking in, within striking distance. So it's not like you got one guy that's killing it, or 2 guys that's killing it, one guy falling behind, like we see in some of the other big teams. But Will's right there. So it's only a matter of time.
Did you check the merch site for Penske? Do they have a 601 hat?
No.
You didn't check it, or they don't have it?
I didn't check, but I doubt it. They still got 600 hat.
That's old news now. You need to update that one. You got a Sharpie? Can you just put a 1 over there? And I don't know who won the NASCAR race. Otherwise, it might be a 2. I'm not sure who won, but
yeah, me neither.
Someone can correct me on that if I'm wrong.
So, moving on, Andretti, Grosjean finishes 2nd. So close, yet so far away. Was the move to alternate tires a bad move? He was the only one on alternates there in that top 3 finishers, right? Maybe not. But I will tell you is that if Grosjean's car had a similar setup to Colton's, then the tires really didn't matter. And this was the point that I was making earlier about he's great under braking. And Grosjean was really good under braking last year at Coyne. We knew that. That was very notable.
Yep.
They could not get off the corners the same way that the Penske's good. The Chevy's good, right? However you want to say that. I think it's updated Chevy drivability that really has taken this season so far with that. My guess is Grosjean did the smart thing and maximized the points by not doing anything irrational, which was the smart thing to do.
He did great.
Yep.
He did really good. And I think being on the alternate tire got him past Pillow. Otherwise, he would have been 3rd in the running and wouldn't have made that pass near the end of the race, which he used up all his push to pass, but 2nd over 3rd, and take that any day.
They all did early. So they had
I know there's like 14 laps left and 0 push to pass. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's hustling the car, and that's working hard when you know you have the advantage and you need to get by. Yeah. Instead of saving it to the end and hoping.
Yeah. Alexander Rossi finishes 8th. Tim, wouldn't this feel like a win to you if you were Alexander Rossi?
No.
What?
This is not a win. You
lose very clean weekend. He has not had a clean weekend, and I can't remember how long.
No, I was expecting more out of him. When he qualified 5th, I was expecting him to go forward and not backward, and he went backwards. So in my opinion, yes, you got a top 10 result. You think Alexander Rossi is happy with the top 10 result?
He's not, because I did hear I don't know if it was on the Peacock broadcast, but when I left, because like I mentioned to you before we hit record here, I left the house right after the race finished because I had somewhere to be. But I was listening to it in the car on NBC on Sirius XM, and somebody said to him, "You're smiling, you must be happy." And he's like, "Oh, I am." He's like, "I don't mean to be." So it's
Yeah.
like, to me, I'm like, well, dude, at least celebrate it, because it was a good weekend for the team, and it was the best weekend he's had this year in a while. So
Yeah, but in
celebrate
years
what you can do.
past, what
Yeah.
what would he have done with a fifth place start?
Dude, that is so far in his past. He really has to look at what's new, what's in front of him now,
Well, I think,
right?
yeah,
It's the 36-year-old, right, stud hitter in MLB that's looking
Yeah.
for a new $250 million contract. No, dude, you gotta look at what's in front of you now, because you ain't been that guy in a few years, Alex.
yeah, he went wheel to wheel with Felix Rosenquist to get that position, and I forget, that must have been for fourth or fairly high up, fourth or third. I think it was fourth place. So he got that, and I think he used up his tires a little bit. Felix dropped
Yeah.
way back immediately, but
He did too,
then
yeah.
Rossi faded, and he faded back quickly after that. He came in and got pits. He went to the pits and got tires.
Yep.
And when he got tires, he was back in that eighth position, and
It
never
wasn't a
moved
clean
forward from there.
stop. They had a hang up on the right rear. They said it was a fill-in right rear tire changer, and they just seemed to have trouble getting the tire seated, and and got him out. So I mean,
Yeah,
in this
but
game,
he lost
eventually,
positions
right?
before going in.
Right, and that didn't help. Right?
Yeah.
So it didn't help, but it didn't hurt him. It didn't put him out, which is what we've seen before.
So if I'm Rossi, I'm not happy with that result, but I guess you got to, sort of look within yourself and go, okay, we got a good finish. We competed all day. We didn't run into any major issues with the car. So yeah, I guess you got to build upon it.
Yeah. Colton Herta finishes 23rd. I winced a little in the pre-race on this thing because they showed that package from Nashville where he was so dominant and then took himself out. I winced on that. And I just thought to myself, why would you show that? Right? Like, why bring that up in the universe? The universe doesn't need that right now. Right. And sure enough, what did he do?
It was like a curse.
Yeah. Maybe, right? Just bad juju. And what does he do? Overcooks it down the back straight, misses the turn, and whammo.
You know who caused that?
He did.
Well, he did, but you know how that all kind of came to the culmination of events that kind of led up to him pushing the car way too.
In-lap coming into the pits.
The first time around was horrific, and he got passed by two people, and he was determined not to let that happen again and take back those spots, and he went too far.
Yeah. Apparently, and I didn't hear it on the broadcast, and I didn't have time today to rewatch the race or even just have it on in the background, but which is what I do often. But apparently he had his own Kimi Räikkönen moment, right? Where he told his dad, like, I know, Dad. Right? Oh, over the radio. I didn't hear it, but
I didn't hear it either.
That happened. Yeah. So
where'd you hear about that happening?
Twitter.
Oh, so you have not been on social media.
We're not insiders, folks. We're just fans giving you our perspective. Devlin D. Francesco finishes 25th. I'm going to need a minute here. Right.
All right. Take your breath and get into this one.
Finishes 25th.
I'm going to have a drink while you do this.
Do it. 22nd in St. Pete, 24th in Texas, while he was, played the bowling ball act in Texas. 25th in Long Beach with contact. So in the off season, we heard that allegedly his driving style lends itself a little bit more to the big cars, Indy cars, because he finished 6th in the Indy Lights Championship last year.
That's self-proclaimed, though. No one said that except himself.
Right, exactly. Cut it out with the PR stuff, right? Because I'm not here for it. Okay. So finishes 6th in Indy Lights last year. He trails Jack Harvey and Santino Ferrucci, who have 2 starts for Harvey and 1 start for Ferrucci in the championship points. Okay. Let's not discount that. Am I hating? No. But not too long ago on Devlin's social media, what do you hear? I'm here to prove all the haters wrong. Well, first of all, I'm not a hater, right? I'm just pointing it out. Okay. Are you better in the IndyCar like everybody alleges in the beginning? Don't
No.
see it yet, dude.
Everybody, I
Right?
think just him.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
the team
But
was
people
trying
caught
sell
on to
that.
it, right? That's like,
right?
oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's great to
Yep.
hear.
Team was trying to sell that.
Some people caught on to that.
I don't buy it. I really don't. Am I a hater? No, not by any stretch, right? I'm a fan of the thing. I'm just going to point out where some of these things don't reconcile, and this doesn't reconcile, right? And the fact that Kirkwood's having the season that he's having at Foyt,
yeah.
If I were Kirkwood, I would just be feeling delightful inside.
Yeah. And Devlin got a 6-grid penalty.
Yeah.
For the events that happened at Texas, which I think that's sort of a new precedent. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Maybe. Hurricane Devlin at Texas, and he got pulled over a little bit for Long Beach. So I don't know. We'll see. Prove me wrong, dude. I'm up for it. I've got an ego in a lot of ways, but not in this one. Prove me wrong. I don't care. But so far, I'm not impressed. Yeah,
and he started 23rd, which means the 6-grid penalty takes him to where? I do my math better. 17th, he's actually qualified. So not even near what the rest of the team was doing.
Yeah. No, and you know what? I'm willing to give him a pass from that perspective because he's a rookie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think all of the social media and all the trying to justify why he got that ride and why Kirkwood's at Foyt is where you put a bigger target on him. Right. And it's like, okay, well, it's obviously not coming together here. Right. You're not showing stretches of anything. Right.
Yeah.
So, different. Yeah. 23rd is where he started. So what is that? That was 17th?
17th. Yes.
Qualifying?
Yeah. If my math's right.
Yeah. So, So his teammates, right? Starting 6th, I don't want to go through this. This is not compelling radio. 5th. And there's one more teammate there that I'm missing. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm
yeah.
So
and he ended up slapping the wall, the same place that Herta did, only with the rear end, and busted that vehicle up. So it's unfortunate.
Ganassi, Alex Palou, defending champ, finishes 3rd, started 3rd, finishes 3rd. We always get to this thing. It's like, oh, I'm surprised. You know what? We got to stop being surprised that he's this good. I'm going to call him a kid, Tim, because I'm 20 some years older than him, right?
Yeah, he's a kid.
Old enough
I saw his dad. His dad looks like a kid too.
I know.
Jeez.
I know.
They got some good genes in that family. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. So, which means I hate them all. The so
in a good way.
He is good. I mean, he just quietly goes about his business.
And they did not have the car coming out of the box. They put it together. You got to give it to Chip Ganassi, that engineering team, that whole crew. They came together and made it happen.
Yep. He's now 3rd in the championship after 3 races, and he's heading into Barber. Guess who won Barber last year?
Was he your winner?
Yep.
He was.
First race of the season. Yeah. And he won it. That's
and
what
he said
that was his debut, right? Really. I mean, it was his 2nd season, but it was his debut with Ganassi. Like, who's this kid that got the ride at Ganassi?
Yeah.
Right.
And the championship points all shrunk after Long Beach here. And Palou was saying in the post interview that, hey, we're the closest we've ever been to first place this early in the season. So I'm happy with where we're at. Would he have liked to have won that race? He had the lead for, I don't know how many laps it was, but it was 22 laps. He had the lead and he was doing well. But how does Ganassi come from not being in the picture in any of the practices, qualifying? They kind of show up. They do pretty well, and at least Alex does. And then he drives consistent and clean, and he'll still battle you, but he's not going to wreck the car, do anything crazy. Like, he's really, really good.
Yes. So Scott Dixon started 16th. And in some of my early notes in pencil, right, as I was getting ready to watch this race, I had written in, is this truly a change in the guard? Because I know we talked about it last year. Is this truly a changing of the guard at Ganassi? Because Alex has been so good, right? And Dixon's kind of struggled.
And Dixon's been kind of 3rd in that roster of 4 cars.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
He has. He's
Yeah.
been behind
Yep.
both Alex as well as
Yeah.
Marcus.
Great point. Great point.
Yeah.
But the guy starts 16th and drives to 6th.
Yeah.
Is
It gives
still
me
a master.
goosebumps. That is
I
such
know.
a great
I know.
drive.
I know. Right.
And they started it with the pit strategy early on, and they saved fuel in their last stint in order to make it to the end. And they had some help from yellows. They did a great job. And
Yes.
Dixon came through. That's a great accomplishment.
Just a masterful drive. And here's the thing. This is not Formula One, right? Where he's in a top 2 car or top 3 car. It's not a spec series, but it's as damn close to a spec series as you're going to get.
Yeah.
16.
And you come through the field.
Yes.
With some help of your team, but that's okay.
So we get to
it's a team effort.
The changing of the guard kind of thing, right? The passing of the baton.
Yeah.
But it's getting there. I would say that it's getting there, right?
The passing of I think so. I think he's got this year, maybe another year, and then he's gonna hang it up. He's accomplished so much. He'd love to get another Indy 500 victory for sure, but from a championship standpoint,
I think that's his only deficiency, right?
That is
his number of 500, right? One.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think
I don't think it's a deficiency. It's just it just hasn't worked out. To multiple victories.
Correct. If you were looking for a division, I guess that's the only place.
If you were trying to scrutinize a career, but no, he's done everything.
Career.
Yeah, amazing, and quietly, just And who's quiet right now? Pillow.
Yep.
Doing it quietly.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Len is driving. Speak for him. Jimmy Johnson finished 20th, third out of the 4 Ganassi cars.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to be a smart aleck here. Texas was supposed to be the turnaround, right? Was supposed to be the start of the turnaround for Jimmy Johnson. Am I hating on Jimmy? No. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Johnson. Do I talk about NASCAR here? No. We're an IndyCar podcast, and you got to cut somewhere. IndyCar, IMSA sells downloads in this deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about IndyCar, IMSA, and Formula One. I am a Jimmy Johnson fan, always have been. Okay, not hating. I just feel like we're getting. I'm not even reading my notes. I just feel like we're getting to a point here where I just don't know that Jimmy's going to get it. He's in the best equipment you can be in. He's on one of the best teams that he can be on. He's got some of the best mentors helping him out. Tony Kanaan, Dario Franchitti in that team. And not to mention Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, Marcus Ericsson, that he can lean on for information, tips, and whatever else he needs to do to get it together. And it's just not coming together, Tim. I think it's hard to start over this career at 40 years old.
Yeah.
In a formula that he's never
mid-40s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a formula he's never driven before.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to get to this point where we're all rooting for Jimmy, which we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we start to feel sad for him, right? Where it's like, wrecked 3 times this weekend, not spun like we'd seen at St. Pete, right? Wrecked.
3 cars damaged.
Yeah. Wrecked his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got to go to barber, which barber's not easy, right? You got undulation, you got turn, you got everything. That's not easy.
No. And he's got the IndyCar test coming up here.
Yeah.
End of the month, middle of the month. Yeah.
Yeah. The end of next week.
So you didn't watch the post race. You got to watch the post race and Jimmy Johnson's interview. I thought it was really good.
He's great. He's great. He says all the right things.
He totally said all the right stuff that made me want to continue to root for him and have the faith that he's going to figure it out. Like it was inspiring to me to watch Jimmy's interview, because you could have been totally dejected, which he was in a way, but at the same time, he was very, I don't know if the word's humble. He just came across as, I screwed up. I'm going to make it better and we're going to move forward. Yeah. And I feel really bad for the team. You're right. He says all the right things, but he means all the right things too. And that's the difference.
26 cars.
He means it.
26 cars in this field. He finished 20th.
Yep.
11 cars finished off the lead lap. And 9 had contact.
Yep.
finished 20th. Do the math. Right.
Well,
and then you got your guy, and I'm not an advocate.
You
got your guy, Santino Ferrucci, on the sideline.
Well,
what would he be doing in that car?
He'd be battling for the win.
Yeah.
At least top 5.
And I'm not an advocate.
Racing and race out.
I'm just saying.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got Indy. He's got 3 oval races to go, right? Indy and Iowa.
And Indy is not an oval, right? I mean, that I think any of his experience is going to help him with. I don't know if Texas, was helpful.
Brickyard 400.
I don't think so. I think it's only because of the way you have to drive that track in these cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be very hard for him. Those are 4 very different turns in Indianapolis at 80 miles an hour faster than what he's used to.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to watch.
Yep. Ericsson finishes 22nd. I felt bad for him sitting on the sideline there, right? Waiting for a pickup.
Right next to that park bench or whatever it was, the picnic table. I was like, wow.
Waiting for a pickup.
I was like, that camera guy needs a pay raise for that shot.
So he just, unfortunately, just lost the rear end, cold and dirty tires on a restart, and just smacked the wall there.
It was just a mistake. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Like, there was no reason to have that car step out.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to improve on where you were. And he was running well all day. So just take your spot and move on. And he did it right in front of Grosjean, and Grosjean made the move around him. But that was after the last restart that he did that.
Yeah.
And well, he got it off track and got it out of the way. And I felt bad. There was no moped to come pick him up.
I know. Yeah. Or just take one like Seb did in Formula 1.
Yeah. And he started 8th, which was a good starting spot. And then just had that incident that put him down in 22nd. Bummer.
Yep. Arrow McLaren, Pato Award finishing 5th. Sounded like Pato threw some shade at the UK engineering team or the strategy team in the UK. Did you hear him talk about that?
No, when you say
that he's going to do what's right for him. He's going to do what's right for him, and he's going to listen to the people on site because they know better because they're here.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he had some choice words for the people in the UK.
Yep.
About car setup and how to move forward.
Yep. So 5th place finish, I think that was good for them. We talk about it's only a 3rd race of the season, but some of these
was good for them.
Yes, but some of these feel like long seasons for some of these guys, right? And I would put Arrow McLaren and the next team we're going to talk about in that same basket, where it feels like it's been a very long season for these guys, and it's only been 3 races. But a 5th place finish there is really, really good. 11th place there for Felix is again good as well. I've said it before. I hate it when they call drivers' seats into question this early in the season or during the off season. I hate that, right? Like they're on fire watch. We're waiting to see Felix get replaced or whatever. I hate that. So I'm glad to see that he got things together. Would somebody else be performing better in that car? I don't know. I think that car has some setup issues. I think that's a function of the philosophy for those McLarens. And I think that it's set up like Formula 1. This is the fastest this car's going to get set up. You need to learn to drive it.
Yeah. I was hoping more out of Rosenquist. Sorry.
Yep.
He's qualified 4th. And then he fell back after he had that battle with Rossi. Right. So that's where the Rossi name came in. And then he fell out of the top 10. And so that's,
what makes you hopeful for more though? I know that sounds combative and I don't mean it to, but what makes you hopeful for more than a 4th place?
Well, more than a 11th place where he finished. I was hoping that he
starting 4th.
No, I was ecstatic he was 4th.
Finish.
I wanted him to sort of stay there or move up or lose a spot, not go all the way out of the top 10. And that's where I was disappointed with the run. I don't know if it matters what I think, but
it does. It's your show.
I guess so. But to see Pato come through and beat him by 5 spots, that's like got to be a little demoralizing for Felix to go. I out-qualified him. We had a good car. At the end of the day, Pato runs more of a championship drive, I'm going to call it, because that's what it is. If you're starting back there and you finish where you do, and then you fade, and unfortunately you chewed up the tires trying to protect a position. And once you lost that position, you were like the anchor coming off the St. Mary's boat that's sitting out there in the bay. And you just sunk to the
Queen Mary.
bottom. And I say to the bottom, I'm being dramatic here, but you don't want to do that. And you want to always improve upon your qualifying position or stay within 2 or 3 spots. But to go that far back is, ooh, 7 spots you lost.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's kind of a
I
drama.
don't like it.
So like I said, it feels like it's been a long season for Arrow McLaren. If it's been a long season for Arrow McLaren, it has been a very long season for Rahal Letterman.
I know, and we're
Lanigan
only 3
Racing,
races in.
right? Yeah. I don't know. It's worth running down each driver individually. Although, I will note Graham finished 7th. Harvey finished 15th, which to me was a win. And I know you hate those moral victories. Lundgaard 18th. The positive I'll take away from here is first that Graham gained 6 places to finish 7th. Right. That's the first positive I'll take away from that thing.
That's good.
Right.
Really good.
That still points to qualifying is a mess for this team. And, having to make up 6 or 7 or more places every time you go out is just not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is Harvey didn't wreck. Right. That's not hating. That's truth. He has, right, smashed a car up in St. Pete, smashed a car up and himself in Texas. He needed a good, clean race here, first for his own body and health. And I think his mental health too, right? Like psychological to get past this thing. So, I'm overlooking the finish here until we get back to Barber. Cause I think Rahal is going to do better at Barber, by the way. I know you think that's crazy. I think Jack's been trying too hard, and I think he's overdriving the car that he's been given. Christian had a pit speed violation, and then all of a sudden he's 3 laps behind. So I don't having to serve a pit speed violation puts you 3 laps behind. So I don't really know how that works. But again, I didn't get a chance to go back and relook the race. But I just don't understand that type of penalty either, given the sophistication of electronics in this series today. Right. So
Finger falls off the button.
I think you just have to click the button once. I don't think you have to hold it.
You don't have to hold the button? I thought it was
No.
a press and hold.
Back in the day, I think you did, but not today, I don't think. So,
Okay.
I just don't know what to say. Tim, your thoughts?
Well, it was a great run by Graham. Given the qualifying woes that team has and to drive through the field and be clean all day, I was impressed. And I kept watching him because I know you've been watching him as well. So I was watching him very closely during this race. I didn't pay too much attention to your boy Harvey, but he came through the field a little bit there and finished 15th. But to your point, he stayed clean. So good for that.
Keep it clean. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lundgaard just had some, I believe, rookie mistakes during the race, which got him back in the 18th. But
there was a couple of times they showed Lundgaard's car like from the aerial, and I swear, like at a glance, it looked like the old Marlboro Penske's, that red and white.
I missed that.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
How cool. So you didn't watch post-race interviews, did you?
No.
So Indy came up with Graham, and he said that he expects to win the Indy 500.
Okay.
That was bold. I was like, wow, that's quite the statement. And
there's 31 other guys that expect to win there.
I know, but
maybe not 31, 25.
Yeah, I don't know. So he's your pick, right? If my understanding is correct. So you two must know something that the rest of us don't, because I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do there. But
yeah, I liked him last year. I think he got robbed last year. He had a bad pit stop, to put it lightly.
That's on the team.
They've been super strong the last couple of Indy 500s, and just for little things here and there, which is the story of Rahal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little things here and there just kind of put them behind. So I think they can get it together. I think they can get it together for that.
Yeah, I
really do.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised though.
I feel really strong about it. No, because the team has not come out of the gate as improved as I expected them to be this season so far, which makes me feel like my pick is pie in the sky at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Shank, Castro Nevis, 9th. Good result for Elio. I'll be honest, I don't remember seeing a lot of them on Sunday.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So started 14th due to qualifying miscue. Call it a combination of a missed setup and not getting a clear track. That's the qualifying issue there, I guess. But
yeah,
up 5 places for the race, fared better than his teammate who decided to do some gardening mid-race after
he did.
Walking along.
I've never seen that.
We're riding along the side of Takuma Sato in the fountain area there.
Yeah, he got up in the landscaping and then went ahead and drove it in there.
Yes, I was going to say, so that's the best part, because it's not like he wound up in there, right? Like he got spun into the flowers. No, it's like he got spun and like he was going to spin himself out through the flowers, but that didn't work because of course he got beached, right? Yeah. So it's like that was so good. That was good. I've never seen anybody in there, and we've had 2 guys in there. It was Pagano and one of the Porsches in IMSA wound up.
Oh, really? I didn't miss that. Yeah. They definitely sheared the flowers and the bushes and took care of some landscaping. It was good. I was surprised when the camera angle went over there and he's sitting in the bushes. That was pretty cool though. But Pagano and this whole team had a pretty good weekend there, right? Mm-hmm. And we know there's some engineering help from Team Andretti. So, but if you look at the charts, Pagano was in the top 5 in basically every group he was in.
Yes.
But it didn't pan out on race day, unfortunately.
And it didn't start out on qualifying either, because he qualified 10th.
Yeah, so he got kind of kicked out. He was made the top 12, that's good for Meyershank. I think that's great. Elio missed out on the top 12, but they had it together, and I think it has to do with their partnership with Andretti, which is why they ran fairly strong in all the stuff leading up into the race. So, yeah. And then Hinch's comment made me chuckle about Simon didn't know he was a horticulturist. That was kind of cute and funny.
We love those things out of Hinch, right? That's the reason.
Yeah, that's what you expect. It's some good commentary, in my opinion.
Rounding out top 10, Foyt, Cal Kirkwood, 10th place. Tatiana Calderon, 16th. Dalton Kellett, 26th. He was the first one out due to aggressive driving. But going back to Foyt, with Kirkwood being 10th, I was kind of worried about this young man and his career coming into this thing, because he's an Andretti driver, and Andretti didn't have any room at the end for him, because I think the plan was that he was going to go Formula One racing and take Colton with him, and Kyle was going to slide into that car that Colton's in. And so we had to find a place for him. So he found a home at Foyt, a resurgent Foyt Racing, right? Which I mean, it makes you feel like, did he find a notebook somewhere with like Andretti setups in it or something? I mean, it's like, how bizarre, because they expanded to 3, and through our production meetings that I was very critical of that. And I'm putting it nicely. And they had no engineering, no announcement of engineering. They didn't talk about any of that stuff. And then all of a sudden, now this kid, he's running well.
Yeah, I think some of this goes back to your earlier comment about Chevy.
Yep.
And the Chevy engine and how good it is this year. And that's helped that's elevated all of the Chevy drivers, including the Foyt team. And Kyle looks good.
I'm not using 2 screens today. Do you have IndyCar up? Where's he at in the championship?
I do have 2 screens up. I'd have to look though.
It's all right. So I think you're right. I think part of it is the Chevy thing, but part of it is putting the wheels putting the tire to the ground, and that's engineering. And we've not heard much in the way of engineering for Foyt. So maybe it's an influx of cash from this rocket deal. Maybe it's an influx of cash. Andretti is doing or needed a favor. So, to keep this kid close and not lose him, but put him somewhere where he can learn the trade, so to speak. So, maybe there is something to that. Who knows?
Yeah,
with
maybe
some engineering support there. Ed Carpenter Racing, not much to say here for either driver. Just missed a setup on the weekend. Didn't seem to have it really for either driver. Daly finished 12th, VK finished 13th. Both picked up spots from their starting positions, but again, it's right. a lot of attrition in this race, which I think helps, somebody who can run clean and just be smart at it. And I think that's what these two did. Bailey finishes 12th, BK finishes 13th. It was kind of a surprise. Speaking of surprise, Coin. This team seems lost to me. Right. Well, they lost Craig Hampson in 2019. Then they lost Olivier Busson with Grosjean last year when he left. I don't know who's left minding the engineering store at Coin, which has a good program. They've got a good damper program and, has historically been the little team that could, but they're just not out of the gate.
Well, they had a good showing in St. Pete. They did okay in St. Pete with Sato. He was up there. And then they got knocked out of Texas. And in my opinion, it was partially due to Devlin. That's where Takuma got up high and I think he brushed the wall. So I think that was just an off week for them. Honestly, I don't think there's anything more going on than that. So
we'll see. Well, hopeful for that team. So last week's predictions, projected poll, I had Romain Grosjean because I was expecting a resurgent Andretti. I think I got part of that right, but obviously Grosjean thing.
And as I said in the last show, I said I didn't have any confidence in Andretti going into that, and they showed that they still have the package there in Long Beach. They just didn't put it together.
Projected winner, I had Will Power, you had McLaughlin, which were quality picks for both of us. It was in the house, but we just had the wrong guy. And I know
we had the wrong driver.
Say you're really starting to dig Joseph Newgarden. I think you're fooling yourself because I think you've always been a Joseph Newgarden fan because you were rooting for him last year.
I was rooting for him to win the championship. So no, I liked his post race interview and I liked what he had to say, and it made me like him more than what I've already liked him. So he's good and he's got a good team underneath him, and as we all know, and he's come around twice so far in the last two races to win it. So he's good. You're telling me that you won both of these predictions.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into any of that because I hate bragging.
But the thing that I checked today, which I hadn't checked, you know where I'm going with this.
No, I don't.
I checked fantasy.
Oh, how we doing?
I'm winning the whole thing.
No kidding.
No kidding. I got we've got several participants and we got several that don't participate but are in the league, but I'm winning it. And so you're third place. And then we got, a guy in between us and a guy below us. So, I'm winning it. So I guess my predictions are better than your predictions.
Good job. Put them here then, Timmy.
I will. I'll put them on paper next time.
Stories to watch: Chevy drivability and fuel mileage. I think they continue to have that. These are the stories that we were watching.
But this is the digital age, so I like to put it digitally rather than on paper. But keep going.
Andretti, like I mentioned, we wanted to see them get their act together for Long Beach, the prestige of this race. I think no better way to do it. They've had success here, as you've noted, and I think they got it mostly right this weekend. I think they did well. Roman,
you got to carry it to Barber though.
Yep. Yeah, you got to carry it on. You got to start from here. You can't have any more missteps like this.
Yep.
They've done really well. Rahal Letterman Lanigan, still a mess in qualifying.
Yeah.
But you know
nothing's changed.
Graham had his issue in warm up. They got that fixed pretty quickly, but Jack, who needed to bring the car home in one piece, he did. He got a finish. I didn't care where it was at. I just wanted to see him finish. So, keep going from there. They got to figure it out. I think they'll be good at Barber. I know I'm putting that out there. I think they will be good at Barber. And I think that track might suit Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing a little better.
It's coming up May 1st, right?
Yep.
Time will tell.
Yep. Which I think is our next race, right?
It is our next race. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see, but that's where I got nothing in the mailbag either.
Nothing in the mailbag?
Nothing in the mailbag to share. So
wow.
So that's it. That's all I got. You got anything?
No, it was, like I said, it was an awesome race. Great setting. You can't beat the history there. We, put some stuff in there about the history last show about the Long Beach Grand Prix, but no, it was entertaining for sure.
Yeah, it was great. So look forward to the next one. Look forward to the next one. Also look forward to the next pod. So thanks for listening, and be sure to engage with us on social media and leave us your comments, our YouTube section, Twitter, email, however is easier for you, however you enjoyed the show. We appreciate you, and we hope that
And rate us too. Please give us a
keep-
rating.
Yeah, we hope that you keep enjoying the show. So
Yeah.
until next time, thanks.
Take care.